do this unless it's real. Well, that never happened. It never happened. So this is the real deal. I remember going into the very first fight. It was a kickboxer from Holland and a sumo wrestler. And I remember the very first fight, everybody's pants were popping in the locker room, and everybody's excited about it, you know. Really, nobody really knew how this thing was going to work. It was nothing I'd ever seen before. First fight happened, and it was Gerard Godot, who was a kickboxer from Holland, and Emmanuel Tue, which was a sumo wrestler from Hawaii. And the fight started, right? And it was probably 30 seconds in. And all of a sudden, Gerard comes over with the right hand, a left hook. The sumo guy falls down to his knees, and Gerard football kicks him. Not a karate kick or Muay Thai kick, but a football kick right into his face, and the teeth go flying.
Oh.
So this is something no one's ever seen before. So the fans basically did not understand what just happened. So it was completely quiet in the arena. It seemed like for 5 or 6 seconds, but it was only a split second, but it seemed longer than that. And then in the locker room, the guys that were popping tags and warming up, and we had monitors in the room, and people just stopped. I mean, and they looked at this, and they were just like, did this just really happen? And that point right there really showed the fighters, the fans, and everybody involved that this thing was no joke. This is the real deal, and it's happening. A lot of guys tried to back out of the fight because they just didn't understand what they were really getting into.
I guess that was the greatest part about it because it was so new and there were so many different backgrounds coming together, different styles coming together. And I know one of the guys you had a very illustrious history with was Royce Gracie. Talk a little bit about your fights with him at UFC 1 maybe.
Yeah, UFC 1 was really an eye-opener for me because over in Japan I just won the belt. No foreigner had ever captured a belt in this Japanese organization. I was the first foreigner to do that. So I had the belt at the time. I was going over to fight this guy that wore a gi. And basically, in my mind, I even made a comment when they asked me, how are you going to fight this guy? And I was like, well, I'm not sure because I've never fought anybody coming out in pajamas. Kind of made a joke of it. Well, that kind of bit me in the butt later on because that's what I got choked out with those pajamas that I made a joke with. I never understood really what that gi, the capabilities of that gi and what it can do as far as equalizing a strength disadvantage. And I was very strong as a fighter and stronger than probably most. And so when I went in there, I really thought no matter what this guy put on me, I'd just break his arm. And that's kind of the thought I had. Well, when I had taken him down, basically went for a leg lock, he'd wrapped the key around my arm, so I pulled him on top of me. So then when I tried to push him off, that arm that was wrapped ended up pulling that thing around my neck. He reached around, grabbed his own gi, let go of my arm, and then cinched in the choke with the gi. Now, in a normal sense, I could have just went right through his arm, pulled it off, and I'd just get up on him and start beating on him. But that didn't happen. There was this gi, and, no matter how strong you are, you're not going to tear one of those gis. So I ended up tapping out, and I thought to myself, immediately when I tapped out, the first thing that came into my mind was that prior to that, they came to us the day before and said, you can't wear shoes because it's a weapon. And I said, I've never been in a ring and actually done anything without shoes on. So I just said, okay, well, everybody else is doing it. I guess I can do it. I get in here, and the first thing I'm thinking about is I'm on my knees, and I'm looking up there, and I just can't believe what just happened. First thing that goes in my mind was like, was that a weapon? Did that just happen? I just got choked with a weapon, right? So I'm thinking to myself, how did they take my shoes away and call that a weapon? And then I just got choked out with a rope. So that whole time I'm thinking, okay, that's all right. Even through the presentation of the belt and then the after-fight party, I swallowed my pride. Right. And I waited for my time to be able to get back at him again. And the second time I fought him, I beat the hell out of him.
So that's how your style just changed the second time around, just went right after him?
Well, the thing difference between that was that I understood how that gi actually works. And I didn't care if it was a weapon or not. I figured, what, Royce Gracie is his brother. They're going to do what they can. I got into this thing. I had to get myself out of this thing. And I'm going to have to follow their rules, but I'm just got to be smart about it. So I understood understood how it was, and I understood that the deck was stacked against me, and I just had to learn how to manipulate that deck a little bit to give myself a chance. So I did. I brought people in. I learned how the key worked. I understood how that thing could be, wrapped around and the techniques that could be used, and I learned how to defend that. So when I went in the second time around, I basically told them that I was going to beat them in 3 phases. One, they kept saying they were the best conditioned athletes in the world, so I trained for a 3-hour fight to put that one down, and then that they were the best submission guys in the world. And I wanted to put that one down after I wore him out, and I was going to tap him out. And then after that, they said that they were never ever beaten before, and I was going to put that one to rest. And unfortunately, I think I got 2 out of the 3. I didn't get to tap him out, but I did basically wear his ass out, and basically I did win that fight.
Among guys that you obviously had a lot of history with, Gracie definitely being one of them. Another one that you mentioned earlier was Dan Severn. So what are your thoughts on your first fight with Dan at UFC 6 when you submitted him?
I understood that Dan was a big, strong guy. He won the Ultimate. I knew it was dangerous, because he got on top and he had great weight balance, and he knew how to use his weight. He knew how to stay on top, and then, he knew how to ground and pound. So I knew that. So basically my whole game plan was, just basically keep my balance, make sure that I had a good foundation, and when he came in to shoot, that I would catch his head for every time, even if he did take me down, I had him in a submission with a guillotine.
Right.
So basically, I trained for that, and I worked with that. I brought guys in that were strong, big, strong wrestlers, and basically worked that technique over and over and over again. So when I went to fight him, that was basically it. I was baiting him to shoot, and when he did, I would catch his head. I did that twice. The first time I missed it. Second time I cinched it in and I got him.
So then the second time around, UFC 9, and I know you've got some strong opinions on this match, it almost seemed like the deck was stacked against you because of some rule changes. So talk about that a little bit.
Well, it wasn't stacked against me. I think it was stacked against everybody. They made the rule changes, and I think it affected everybody. There wasn't supposed to be any striking.
Right.
The only thing is that I basically stayed to those rules. And other people chose not to because the UFC basically said, hey, I know this sucks. There's not much we can do about it, but, we're going to fine you money, but we'll collect it at our leisure. Basically, they were saying, you guys just go ahead and do what you're going to do, and, nothing's going to happen. I couldn't do that. I was a champion. I had gone to group homes. I was running a group home at the time where I had troubled kids. And my message was, if you stay within the rules, you can do anything you want. The minute you break them, then you've got to pay for those things. Not only do you have to pay for them, but your family, your friends, everybody around you is going to be hurt by you breaking rules. Which, for them, it was more or less, doing drugs, getting fights, stealing, those things. But I was trying to relate sports and life the same way. You stay within the rules. So when those rules were laid down, I couldn't find myself just going ahead and breaking them because nothing was going to happen. So I stuck to them. And unfortunately, at that time, I had a cracked rib and a broken nose and a lateral meniscus tear in my left knee. So I had a lot going on. I wasn't even going to fight the fight. But because there was so much on that fight, because they would allow so much money, I went ahead and did it anyways. Then when the fight was over, and I say this, and I say this not with a lot of respect, but that was the most boring fight in UFC history because Dan Severn's, which I didn't understand it, his position, basically his technique to win that fight, was to stay outside, dance around, get sweaty, and then attack, which, I don't know, he never attacked. And so basically it was a really boring fight. Nothing really happened in that fight. And then I think he landed maybe one punch, which glazed off me, which is no big deal. He threw about, 4 or 5 of them. And we were on the ground for probably 10, 15 seconds, and then I was on top for probably about a minute and a half. So on the ground, I basically controlled him more. And then to stand up, there was nothing happening on that. He was dancing around the outside. I took the center of the ring, waiting for him to attack me. He never did, really, except for maybe one time, and he ended up messing up on that. So then when I asked Art Davies, I go, that was a bad fight, but I'm not sure how I lost that title because I don't think anybody really did anything. Neither one of us deserved to wear it. And he said, well, he landed more punches. And I paused for a minute, and I was like, but those are illegal. Hey, just kind of